Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today I isekait into the world of World War Z. I was reborn as a medic who is specialized in treating flesh-eating zombies. And my first mission is to save humanity from extinction. This is going to be fun. Let's do it. Chapter 1. Arrival. The icy wind hit my exposed skin like a knife, making me shiver. As a spirit, I didn't have skin, but this experience was as real as it gets. And I don't want to find out what happens when an actual knife stabs me. I used my ghostly form to sneak inside the house and found a little girl hiding in the corner. She was crying and hugging her knees to her chest. I wanted to comfort her, but being a ghost meant I couldn't interact with anything or anyone. I tried to get closer, but every time I neared her, she would scream in terror and move further away. This continued for days. I watched the little girl slowly starve to death, her screams gradually becoming weaker until they stopped altogether. The only sound that could be heard was the wind whistling through the broken windows and the occasional moan of a hungry zombie. That was how I spent my first few days after isekaid into the world of World War Z. I wandered the streets of a small town near Jerusalem, watching people turn into bloodthirsty monsters and devour each other. I was confused. I had no idea where I was, why I was here, or why I was stuck in this weird limbo. All I knew was that I didn't want to watch another person die a horrible death. I needed to help them, but how could I, a helpless ghost, possibly help anyone? Then I saw him. He was a medic. His name was David, but everyone called him Doc. He moved through the crowd of infected people like a specter, stopping only to inject them with a strange glowing blue liquid. The moment the substance touched their skin, the transformation seemed to stop. Their eyes lost their wild look, and they collapsed to the ground, seemingly cured. That gave me hope. Maybe I could help people too if I became a medic. The problem was I didn't know anything about medicine. I'd never even bandaged a cut on my finger. But surely there was someone who could teach me, and that's when I saw her. Her name was Sarah, and she was one of the doctors at the medical center. It wasn't much anymore. It looked more like a refugee camp with people sleeping everywhere and piles of dirty clothes littering the floor. But even in this chaos, Sarah managed to maintain order. She was tough, smart, and beautiful. The kind of woman you wouldn't want to mess with. The kind of woman I would definitely want to mess with. I followed her for weeks, learning everything I could about her daily routines. I waited patiently, knowing that sooner or later I would find a way to talk to her. Then finally it happened. One night I was following her home when she slipped and fell down a manhole. I didn't hesitate. I rushed to her side and pushed her up, making sure she didn't hurt herself. Then I waited. What else could I do? To my surprise, Sarah didn't scream or try to run away. She looked at me with wide eyes and asked, "Who are you?" I took a deep breath. "I'm your savior," I said, "and I need your help." It wasn't easy, but I managed to convince Sarah to trust me. I told her everything I had learned about medicine, and we worked together to treat the sick and injured people at the medical center. We became a great team, and I loved spending time with Sarah. We talked for hours about our past lives and shared our dreams for the future. She didn't believe my story at first, but eventually she started to see the truth. One day, we were working on a patient when I accidentally touched her hand. She flinched at first, but then looked at me with a smile. "You're not a ghost," she whispered. "You're real." I felt a warmth spread through my chest. It was good to know that she believed me, but it was also time for me to move on. My purpose here was to help the people of this world, and I couldn't do that by moping around a medical tent all day. There was still so much to see, so much to learn, and maybe, just maybe, there was still hope for humanity. As long as they had me on their side. Chapter 2. New mission. After a few months of working at the medical center, I felt like I had finally found my place in this new world. Sarah and I were close to finishing our research on the zombie virus, and we had developed a cure that was showing good results. But the war was still raging, and there were entire cities that were still cut off from the outside world. Our resources were stretched thin, and we desperately needed more supplies. That's when I met him. His name was John, and he was a member of a group that was trying to reopen the supply lines. He was a grizzled man with a missing eye and a gruff voice. But underneath it all, I could see that he had a good heart. "We need your help," he told me. "We're trying to reach the city of Ammon, but the road is infested with zombies. If we don't get supplies soon, we'll be overrun." It was a dangerous mission, but I knew I had to do it. Not only were the supply trucks carrying vital resources, they also contained food and medicine for the people at the medical center. Plus, I had a personal stake in the mission now. Sarah was pregnant, and we needed those supplies to make sure she and the baby were safe. I joined John and his group, and we set out on our mission. The journey was long and dangerous. We had to fight off hordes of zombies and dodge military checkpoints. At one point, we were ambushed by a group of raiders, but we managed to escape with only minor injuries. As we approached Ammon, the situation became increasingly desperate. The roads were completely blocked by zombies, and the trucks were running low on fuel. But just when all hope seemed to be lost, I remembered something. There was an old train line that ran parallel to the road, and it was much less affected by the virus. I suggested to John that we abandon the trucks and try to reach Ammon on foot. He wasn't thrilled, but he agreed. We made it to the outskirts of the city. just as the sun was setting. The sight that greeted us was both awe-inspiring and heartbreaking. Entire families were gathered at the train station, waiting to be evacuated. But there were also thousands of zombies blocking the tracks. This was a true test of our survival skills. We had to use everything we had learned on our journey to make it to the station. We fought off wave after wave of infected people and finally reached the platform just as the last train was pulling away. It was a close call, but we made it. Now it was up to us to get the train moving again and take these people to safety. John and I worked together to clear the tracks and start the engine. Meanwhile, the others helped the passengers board. As the train pulled away from the station, I looked back at the city. I knew that Ammon was just one small part of a much bigger problem. But for now, we had done all we could to help the people of this world. And as the sun rose the next morning, I felt a sense of hope for the first time in a long time. Humanity might have a chance after all. Epilogue. Years passed and the world slowly began to heal itself. With the help of the people I had met on my journey, I was able to distribute supplies and medicine to those who needed it most. We even managed to set up a system for transporting people to safer areas. And then one day, something miraculous happened. A cure for the zombie virus was discovered and the world began to return to normal. People came out of their hiding places and started rebuilding their lives. Cities were decongested and farms began to grow again. Sarah and I got married and had a son. We named him Hope. It was a fitting name because he represented everything that we had fought for all those years ago. The people of this world had endured unimaginable horrors, but they had survived. They had overcome the undead and rebuilt their society from the ashes. As I watched Hope playing in the fields, I knew that the future was bright. The world would never be the same again, but it was a better place because of what we had been through. And I, for one, wouldn't have it any other way. Thank you for watching. See you next time.